inside access from around the sport. We were mentioning earlier Kyle Busch not being in this race. Since the last race, Kansas, rules have been put out. There will be a limit on Cup drivers based upon Cup drivers' experience.
Yeah, so you also have drivers who declare for points in the Cup Series. You cannot run the race at Miami, so that you're going to see a race at Miami with guys that are competing for that championship. This is all in an effort to give the Xfinity drivers more of an opportunity, some younger drivers more of an opportunity. You're still going to have Cup drivers in the field. There's no question about that, because think about the people that will be eligible. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon. You got all these young guys that still this doesn't apply to based on their age.
Yeah, I mean, so basically they had to come up with an establishment, what is a Sprint Cup driver, and they've come up with this 5 years of experience. So if you're a full-time Cup driver, you have 5 years of experience, you're limited to 10 races, and those 10 can't be the chase.
And just to put that in perspective, Kyle Busch has already run 16 races this year, so he would not be able to run as many races as he ran this year, next year.
He would have been limited to 10. So someone else is going to be able to fill that car, and then you have full-time Cup drivers with the same 5 years of experience. Which will open up the final 8. And then to make it even one step further, the championship race in Miami will be decided with no one in the field that runs for Sprint Cup Series points. So to clear that up, a driver at the beginning of the year has to declare, you know what, I'm going to get truck points, I'm going to get driver points in the Sprint Cup Series, I'm going to get Xfinity points. What series do you think you're going to run full-time? So if you declare Sprint Cup as your full-time, you cannot run the Xfinity Series in Miami, which is great, because when the championship's decided, I think what that will allow is we're probably going to see the race winner perhaps be the champion.
Right. Yeah, so for this weekend, if you're this weekend next year, the two people that it would affect is Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. They're the two guys that would not be eligible to race that are currently racing today.
And Brendan Gaughan making his way around a racetrack that he is oh so familiar with, Victory Lane, but it was in a truck that he had his great success. Won 4 races in a row this racetrack.
We've had Brendan Gaughan on NASCAR America a lot of Wednesdays here in recent weeks, and he was on this past Wednesday and talked about his chances in moving through this Xfinity Series chase. He positioned it where if they felt that they had 2 good top 5 runs, that they would be okay to make the championship 4. I disagree. I don't think 2 top 5 runs will get this car into the championship 4. I think he really needs to look at winning, and the concern is I don't know if they even believe they can win with standard circumstances, and it all really started back in Kansas.
Yeah, they had an issue at Kansas. You see him up the track there, and then catching it through the grass. Brendan Gaughan not the finish, obviously, that he was looking for in the first round of 8, but he wanted to tell his teammates and tell his crew that he's all in. As soon as that car was ready, he was going to be behind the wheel and get it back out onto the track.
You mentioned top 5s. He believed if he had 2 top 5s, he would be able to advance into Miami, but the trouble is they've only had 4 top 5s all year. So they're going to have 2 of their better races in these last 2 races. And I'm with you, unless some other people have problems, those top 5s aren't going to be enough. But they're going to have to step their game up to meet that goal.
Marty.
Just 1 run in the book so far for Justin Allgaier, who's a chaser. Here's what he had to say on the radio after that 1 run.
Really, really tight, like a late exit. I don't know if it's getting down on the scooter or what it's doing, but I'm having to check out on kind of late exit to not hit the fence. The center, I'm a little bit tight, so that's basically wide open to like the 2/3 mark, and then I got to crack it a little bit. I can go back to it, but it's really weird.
Sometimes this low grip racetrack can make you feel like it's really weird behind the wheel. And this race team, though, despite some issues in the chase, they found a way to sort of manufacture finishes. They need a clearly good finish here at Texas this weekend to advance to Homestead, Miami. But this race team has fought through a lot so far in this chase. A little bit to fight through here early in practice as well.
Not only the low grip asphalt, but something as a crew chief that's really hard to control here are the transitions in and out of the corners. They're just not as smooth or not as, I guess, standard as some of the other mile and a half. The entry into 3 kind of drops away real quick. You mentioned about how loose you can get in there. And then they're tight on late exits. So you see here, Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier's teammate, he's turning into turn 3 right here. It's easy for the car to get free. But then usually just tight through the middle and loose off, but late, way up here by the wall, it seems like there could be more handling issues that as a crew chief, you think that's the straightaway, but here at Texas, it's still the corner.
And for everybody that watched the Cup practice a little bit ago, look at the throttle difference. I mean, we heard how much they were out of the throttle and how much they were moving the wheel. Now we go to the Xfinity Series where you have less power. You have great big spoilers. You have a lot more grip. Look at the amount of throttle. He never lifted in 2, 3, and 4, and this is in race trim. So that's how different the Xfinity cars are and the Cup cars. These Xfinity cars make so much less power and they make so much more grip. This is how you have to drive them, and it's just a completely different skill set that it takes over the Cup side.
Kevin Harvick will be making his 7th start for Junior Motorsports in the 88 car, and you see the 5 wins for Harvick here at Texas Motor Speedway compared to the 3 for the rest of the field.
Yeah, and Rick, I believe, I like limiting the Cup drivers. I believe that it's time to do something. But on top of that, why make the Cup cars and Xfinity cars so different? Why don't they make these Xfinity cars drive more like a Cup car, so when a young driver gets in a Cup car, it's more like it? I mean, you don't drive a Cup car like this in Texas. It's just so different. I think they make way too much downforce. They need to take some downforce off of them. They need to make the car slide around a little bit more. Put them on the same tire as on the Cup Series. Make them hard to drive. That's how you're going to teach these young drivers. And they've always been hard to drive. But I will tell you that I've driven both. And there was a time when the Xfinity cars were harder to drive than the Cup cars. And you shouldn't make the car easy to drive because you have young drivers, because you're not teaching them what you need to be teaching them.
Well, and you know, the argument is that they want them to be different because they don't want the Cup teams to be able to bring their setups over. But the problem is the Cup-supported teams they just have the technology to advance. So you look at Darrell Wallace Jr. here in the 6th. It's no surprise in my mind that the Sprint Cup cars are struggling and the Xfinity cars are struggling. Even though the setups are totally different, it's not the type of car, it's the technology used to develop the car, the simulation, the wind tunnels, the stuff way over my head that smart engineers had to explain to me when I was a crew chief. You know, fundamentally how the cars and the teams are put together will drive success in both garages, and I think if you find success in one garage, it can carry over. So I agree with you, Jeff. Let's make the cars closer alike, make these guys work on Saturday, so when they go into Sunday, they know what's ahead of them, because it's not a small step up, Rick. From Saturday to Sunday, it is a huge adjustment.
Hey, guys, I just want to say amen to that. I agree 100%, and I can tell you, and Jeff, you would agree this, I feel like, as a driver, when you take away the downforce, maybe add some horsepower, it puts it more in our hands to make a difference. And I think one of the problems this series runs into is that the level of equipment you have is never more important than when you're flat out. The driver can't do anything to add, to gain speed, to find speed in the race car when he's only flat out the entire way around the racetrack. If you take away some of that downforce, maybe add some horsepower, make them drive more like the Cup cars, the driver will be more prepared, and as drivers, we can make a bigger difference and maybe make up for a deficit in equipment level.
Yeah, and just for reference, Parker, in all the years I ran Xfinity, and I won my fair share, I don't know that I ever ran wide open in qualifying. And now, almost everywhere that you go on mile and a half, they run wide open. Why?
Right.
Why go around the racetrack wide open? What are you learning? What are you teaching? It's not about... the fans can't tell they're wide open. You don't want them to be wide open. You want this to be a test for driver and team skill. And the more off-throttle time, the more a test of those two things. So we hear from the Cup drivers all the time. They want more downforce off the cars more. They want it to be more difficult to drive because they know the more difficult it is to drive, the better an opportunity to get an advantage somewhere. That's what the theory should be as well.
Talent really shows.
Drive to the stars. I want to see the stars work.
See just how talented these guys are. Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Tiff, Eric Jones, and Harvick, the top 5.